Hi everyone. Today we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to show you how to first save the HRIS database to your laptop or desktop, and second, how to bring data information from your HRIS database into Excel so you can manipulate that. First, we're going to take the HRIS database and save it to your laptop or desktop. Keep in mind, check the course syllabus to ensure that your laptop or desktop has the proper requirements, the hardware requirements, to be able to handle the database. You also need to ensure you have Microsoft Access installed. Keep in mind, you can use a Mac laptop. Again, if the hardware requirements are there, cannot use a Chromebook. So, the first thing to do is to go to Canvas, and you're going to see here we're at our course, HRM 430. Now if you're a 730 person, it's going to look the same. Right here you're going to see we have the SQRLY HRIS database. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I'm going to save to file, or save the file. Now, by doing that, it's going to save it to my C drive in the downloads file. What I'm going to do, this is just me, I'm going to take that and I'm going to move it right onto my desktop. Now I don't want to leave it there. I do want to find a nice home for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my D drive. Now on my desktop, my computer is set up a little bit differently. My C drive is pretty much the Windows program and additional RAM, which makes it good, makes it a very fast computer, so I'm able to play some games. I want to save it on my D drive. So I'm going to go to my D drive. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it SQRLY. There it is. And I'm going to take SQRLY, that database, and put it right into that folder. Hopefully, it's there. Now I actually have two copies. I have it in the D, and I have it in the desktop. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to get off my desktop, like so. Now, here I am, D drive, SQRLY's folder. Here's my database. I'm going to right mouse button click on it, and I'm going to create a shortcut. I'm now going to move that shortcut to my desktop. Bring that to my desktop. I am also going to right mouse button click, rename it, remove shortcut. Oh, maybe even remove, just call it HRIS SQRLY. That's all I need. Now I'm good to go. Now, what's very important is as you continue to use the database throughout the semester, whether on your laptop or desktop, you need to understand that when you make changes, Access is constantly saving, and it's not easy to undo it. So if you change database data, or if you change the programming, it may compromise your ability to successfully do future course simulations. So don't hesitate that if you play around with it and you mess it up, delete it off your laptop or desktop and go back to Canvas and again bring back the HRIS SQRLY from Canvas. You're refreshing it, you're starting over again. Not a big deal, because this course is not about database data entry. You're not going to be doing any database data entries in this course. Okay. So now that I have it here, if I double click on it, it's going to launch the database. It's going to ask me for a password, and the password is Jabba, as in Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars. That's spelled J-A-B-B-A. I'm going to enter it, hit OK. I'm going to enable content, and here I am. Now, I do want to also show you how to move information from Access, or really any database, to Excel. That's going to be important for you because manipulating the information in Excel is going to help you do your simulations. And one thing that I'm going to tell you right from the beginning and throughout this course, there's 100 different HRIS databases out there. They're all different. None of them will ever give you the exact information in the exact form you want it. 9 out of 10 times you're going to have to take information from it, move it into Excel, manipulate it in order to answer your boss's question. And that's what the simulations are all about. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, and we'll talk about this a little later on in a separate video, I'm going to open up my navigation pane and I'm going to go to my queries. I'm going to see a bunch of queries here. And I'm going to look at right here, AQ Master Active EEs. Now the AQ, the Q is basically stands for query, right? The A is Access puts things in alphabetical order. I wanted this query to always be on top. So AQ, the alpha query. Master, it's the master query. It's going to have a lot of information and only on active employees. So I'm going to double click and open it, and there it is. Now I'm going to close this pane by clicking up here. And with Access, you're going to have tabs, sort of like a browser. You're going to see the tab that's highlighted is the AQ Master Query of Active Employees. And I can always go back to the database itself. And this is really a series of forms, this tab. Again, for a different video. So here's all this great information that I have. And I want to copy and paste all this information into Excel. And I have 49 records. And it's already preset to me. It looks like everything's in alphabetical order by the person's last name. And by the way, you can click anywheres in here and notice it opens up kind of a field. So I'll click on Ruth Bell's last name, Bell, and I could actually go in and change it. You think you can, but you can't because I've made sure that you can't. But in some databases you can. So always be careful in making changes, not only on the forms, but in the spreadsheet view. And again, what I just said is important. This is a spreadsheet view. It looks like Excel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just minimize this. I'm going to open up a blank Excel spreadsheet. There we are. I'm going to go back. And in the upper left-hand corner right here of the spreadsheet, you can see my mouse. I'm going to click on it. And it highlights everything. It's highlighting all the rows, all the columns. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to Control C, or another thing I can do is I can right mouse button click, copy. Then I'm going to go to my Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to put my cell there, right mouse button click, paste. And I can paste it a couple of different ways. You see that? Doesn't matter how you want to paste it. It's pretty much all the same information. I'll paste it like that. Now I can go into this spreadsheet, do some manipulation, make some changes. Now let me close this up. I'm not going to save it. And I'll minimize that access. I'll go back to the syllabus. And you're going to see Excel Training Spreadsheet. Just click on it, open it with Excel. Here's all the data that I imported from the SQRLY HRIS, tab from HRIS. The second tab, and you have access to this spreadsheet, it's on Canvas. You're going to see I added some calculations, and they're in yellow. I added an age, and I added annual wage. You're going to see, and I'm just going to click on this cell for Amelia Allen. What I did was I used an Excel formula. It's the Days 360 formula. And what I told Excel to do is take what is in cell D2, okay, date of birth, and compare that date of birth against this. Now open parentheses, close parentheses. Now is an Excel function. So what I'm asking Excel to do is take the person's date of birth, compare it against today's date, and tell me how old the person is in years. And I do that by dividing the result by 360. If I want to know how old they are in terms of months, I would do a different calculation. But Days 360 will tell me how old a person is in years by dividing by 360. So again, very simple in Excel. Take the date of birth, compare it against now to get my age. And once I enter that, and to copy down a formula, you'll see from the cell I want to copy, there's a handle in the lower right. Click on it, keep it clicked, and drag down, and it copies the formula. The next formula I did was annual wage. This is a little bit more complex, and this is an if formula, and you'll be using if formulas in your classroom simulations. Now remember, we have two types of employees in terms of wages. Employees that get a salary, employees that are paid by the hour. Employees that get a salary for our database, you can see type of salary. And if you look, here's a person who's paid by the hour. Mary Ince. So, how do I figure out the annual wage knowing their salary or their hourly rate? Now, the salary is always going to be a weekly salary. Hourly is going to be per hour. Okay? So, the formula is simple, using if. And always read from left to right. So let's take a look at this formula right there. If what is in O2 is equal to salary, using double quotes because it's text, comma, then we're going to do what comes next. So in this case, if the person has a salary type, you're going to take what is in cell P2 and multiply it by 52. Why? 52 weeks in a year. That's simple. So if the person is a salaried person, which means this is their weekly rate, to determine their annual wage, you take the weekly rate times it by 52. Let's take a look at an hourly person. Here's the hourly person. The hourly person is going to get us to the second part of the if statement. Again, let's read it from left to right. If what is in O2 is equal to salary, it's going to be what is in P20 times 52. But what is in O2 for this person is not salary, it's hourly. So, you skip this part of the if statement. Why? Because it's false. So if this is false, you skip the middle part and you act on the last part. So now you're going to take what is in P20, in this case $18 an hour, and you're going to multiply it by 2080. 2080 is how many hours in a year? 52 weeks, 40 hours. Hopefully gets you to 2080. So the if statement is three parts. The first part, and let's look at it right up here, is the test. What are you going to test? Then you have two parts after it, a true and a false. So if the test is true, then the second part is acted on. If the test is false, the second part is skipped, and the third part is acted on. And then, of course, you copy down by grabbing the handle for all the other rows. So I took what was in SQRLY, I added an age, and I added annual wages. Next, and I'm not going to get into it, but I want you to take a look at it on your own, is you can take the information on the spreadsheet and use pivot tables. And you're going to see I have pivot tables over the next 3 tabs down here. So I'll take a look at pivot by gender. And you're going to see, well, that's interesting. Females, there's 28 of them. That's the annual wage of all females. Males, 22. That's the annual wage. How did Excel figure that out? If I click at it, you're going to see it's a pivot table. And a pivot table takes all the information and all the fields from this tab, and depending on what you do down here, it gives you various reports. And you can see I want rows in terms of gender. I got 2 of them. And then I'm going to count the gender and then the average annual wage. All of this based upon these fields of information from the information on this tab. You're going to say I also did a pivot table which gives me annual wage by gender by position. So you're going to see we have 4 accountants. 2 are females, 2 are males, what the average wage is for the accountants, and the details by gender. And then this tab, I did it by position, by ethnic background, male and female. So SQRLY HRIS doesn't provide the information for me in the way I want it. I have to, in order to answer my boss's question, get the general data and then hone it down into the information that I need to report to my boss. So I do want you to spend some time looking at the spreadsheet, taking a look at those pivot tables. So what we did in this video was take the SQRLY HRIS, bring it to your laptop and desktop. We also took a look at how to take information from the HRIS, in this case, the AQ master query, copy it, and then paste it directly into Excel. And then I went over a couple of basic rudimentary formulas. The Days 360 formula always will help you to determine an age, but will also help you to determine the difference between 2 dates. Always a date and now, or 2 dates. So if you want to know how many years a person had been with the company, it would be their date of hire versus the date that they left, date of termination. You wouldn't use at now. And then the annual wage, a great example of the if statement, which is made up of 3 parts. The test, if the test is true, the middle part. If the test is false, the last part. I hope this helped, and look forward to our next video. Thank you.